first of all, on the monetary system, one of the things that just, I think the first and best step we can do is to audit the Federal Reserve system.
Yes.
That will allow us to go in and do that, because I'll tell you what we're getting to the point is there's no accountability anywhere. It's not just the Federal Reserve. These czars that we have pointed out, I asked the Congressional Research Service to do research on where they are. This is the first time anything like this has happened. You know, these people are not vetted by the Senate. They are getting average salaries of about $172,000 a year. They have regulatory power, but they're not even subject to the Freedom of Information Act. We won't know what they did for 5 years after they get out of office. That is horrendous. I'm not telling you. That's just horrendous to be able to do. And there's 34 to 37 of them. Nobody knows how many. Nobody knows exactly how many. And I don't even have to go into, if you look at some of the statements and some of the things that some of them said in the past, that's just frightening to me. There's no accountability. So first step, I'd say, audit the Federal Reserve System. The other thing that I think that I'm really concerned about, when you talk about devaluing currency, there are two big things that are really happening out there. The first one is, when you get the kind of debt that we're getting right now, there's only two ways that you can pay it back. One of them is massive tax increases, and we can't raise taxes enough to do it. So the other one is by increasing the monetary supply. All of you know that since January, we've more than tripled the monetary supply. That devalues the dollar every single time you print more money and increase that monetary supply. We need to stop doing that. The second big part of that, though, this is what worries me even more than that, because that's going to be an inflationary wave that's going to hit us at some point in time. But if you look right now, the nations in the world are breaking down to creditor nations and debtor nations. The West are all the debtor nations. All of our allies, all of our friends, including us, we are enormously in debt to autocratic countries, Middle East, China, and even now Russia beginning to do that. Now, why is that happening? Autocratic countries, in China right now, 300 million people are living on about $1 a day that they do. So they can take those monies, they can invest them, they can utilize them however they want to utilize them. And they're doing two major things that are going unnoticed. Well, the first one's not, the second is. The first thing that these countries are doing is they're holding our debt. And by holding that kind of enormous amount of debt, all they have to do is plug with selling some of that, getting rid of some of that, not buying more of that, and they can control our economy and control our foreign policy anytime they want to do it. The second one, though, that's going unnoticed by a lot of people is they are using the excess cash that they have, and they are investing big time in the United States. They're buying our properties, our corporations, everything else is there. The influence they have on Congress today is absolutely enormous, not just from the debt they hold, but from the ownership that they have in American corporations. I think we need to have the audit of the Federal Reserve. I think we need to be careful about the money that we have. I think we need to have a balanced budget amendment so that we're not continuing this deficit spending that we have. It's going to be painful. It's going to take a few years, but it's painful to you. You have to do it in your house. We need to do that right away. And the third thing is we need to be very careful about how we're turning over all of our assets to foreign entities.
And that's been going on for years.
Going on for one of the big problems with the bank bailouts was, and we knew this going in. I mean, this was rocket science. All you knew this. We gave the banks these TARP monies, and everybody was arguing how it's going to increase the amount of loans that we had. We wrote articles. We were telling people initially, it's not. The banks are going to use the same kind of common sense you use. They're going to pay off their balance sheet so that they can get that done. That's exactly what they did. And then I asked, anywhere I go across the country, I asked everybody in the audience, I said, raise your hand if you got a loan from any of the stimulus money that's been put out there yet today. So far, all across America. You know how many people raise their hand? The same number that's raising their hand in here tonight. No business is getting it. Now compare that, though, to what China did. When China did their stimulus package,